The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys! This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show. Your war room for insider news and draft analysis from deep within the confines of Cowboys headquarters at the Star in Frisco. Now, your hosts, Vach Lombardi, Nick Harris, Bobby Belt, Tommy Yarish, and Kyle Yeomans.
Today is Wednesday, January 28th, 2026, and we are 85 days away from the NFL Draft in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Welcome in to the Draft Show presented by Miller Lite alongside Tommy Yarish and Nick Harris. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Glad you're with us here from Radio Row in the Panini Senior Bowl. That's still a little weird to say. The Panini Senior Bowl. It's usually the Reese's Senior Bowl, not any longer. Getting used to it a little bit, and it's been kind of an interesting couple of days here in Mobile, Alabama. We're going to hit what happened in day one, what we can maybe expect in day two, and then we're going to have plenty of interviews for you throughout the show as well today. Gentlemen, have you gotten any rest so far since arriving in Mobile? Nice and relaxing trip all the way through, everything good?
Last night was huge.
Yeah, last night was pretty
Last night was
clutch.
huge.
That was
Last
pretty
night
good.
was like a 16-0 season from Indiana. Like
Wow.
I got a good 10 hours of sleep. It was great.
10 hours.
Maybe not that much, but it was great.
So yeah, no, impossible 10 hours, but no, it felt like it. Yeah, that was nice. So we're attacking the day today. We're hitting it hard and
Win the
just
day, damn
ready
it.
win the day. Bear down.
Yeah.
For my Britches and Bears back there at home.
Oh, okay.
That was our
Well,
mantra.
High
that was
school
our
shout
mantra
out
was
there.
win the day. Yeah.
Good for you. The whole thing here when it comes to the Senior Bowl is that it's scheduled in blocks. It is regimented, scheduled versus schedule. It starts as early as 5:30 in the morning and it goes all the way into the night. And now with these teams practicing until 6 o'clock, that plays a factor as well. But yesterday there was a lot going on. Of course, the Cowboys front office brass was in town, and we talked to Stephen Jones, we talked to Will McClay, and it was a fun time. I mean, us three were the only three in attendance for those interviews, and we learned a lot, I feel like, from just those two conversations about what the front office was thinking whenever they hired Christian Parker as the defensive coordinator, and also kind of starting to see what they're looking for going into the NFL draft as well.
Yes, certainly. And we were talking about the hiring process of Christian Parker, and you guys can certainly go back and read and watch all the content that we've all produced off of that. But as far as draft conversations specifically, asking both of these guys, okay, have you had the preliminary conversations with Christian Parker yet about what type of player he's looking for? And it's early. I think that was probably the motto of both of those guys when talking about the Christian Parker type of player. But Will McClay said we've had general conversations to begin with. He wants good players. He wants smart players, which every coach does. We'll get down to the nitty-gritty once we get the rest of the staff together. We've talked about our roster, and he has a vision. It's off to a good start right now. And so Stephen Jones had mentioned that they hope to have this staff wrapped up by the end of this weekend, ideally. He said there might be one or two that leak into next week, but I would expect those position coaches to get hired as soon as today. I'm already hearing about a couple that could come down before the end of today. So I would look toward that before these nitty-gritty conversations about draft on the defensive side, like Will McClay was talking about. But we asked him about having these 2 first-round picks. Like, it's a luxury, and they understand that. They get that. But asking Will at the end, I was like, you got to be excited about it, too, because this is, like, your department's opportunity to really shine. And he's certainly he certainly has a good bit of excitement about it. But they're going to go through the full process like they do every year, and they see some defensive strength in this draft. Will McClay said, "Is it top level, mid level? We're not really sure yet, but that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this due diligence." And you got to think about it from Will McClay's perspective. Throughout the entire season, he's focused on pro scouting, because if someone gets hurt in week 16, he needs to have an offensive lineman or receiver ready to go to sign either to the practice squad or this, that, and the third. And he's doing so much in the season with the team itself that now is the time to where he's able to really collaborate with his director of college scouting, able to get with his area scouts, whether that be a Ross Winch or a Brett Maxey or Mitch LaPointe, these guys who are working this college ranks throughout the entire year. Now is the time where they're really starting to dive in. They have meetings here in Mobile where they get into the nitty-gritty of it, and Stephen Jones is in those meetings. And it's very fascinating to see the draft process really ramp up from here all the way to the NFL Combine.
Well, the interesting thing to factor in when we were talking to him yesterday was free agency as well.
Yeah.
I think both Will McClay and Stephen Jones had a level of we think that there are going to be some good players in this free agency class. I think the question is, just like it is every year, how active are they going to be with free agency? We saw them be active in terms of quantity last year in free agency, signing a lot of guys to some one-year deals. Are they going to do the same thing again, or do you think you will maybe see some more splash guys here and there, some more bigger contracts being thrown out? It'll be interesting to see because you have to maneuver a lot of cap space if you want to get there. I think they're $30 million in the negative right now, but they'll clear that up with restructures and so on and so forth. But with those 2 first-round picks, I think they have a real opportunity, and I think they recognize this too, to attack in free agency, add guys at these positions. If maybe we talk on defense, linebacker, defensive back, corner and safety, defensive line on the edges, and then position themselves in the draft to where they truly can take the best player available, and it'll still likely be on the defensive side of the ball. So it seemed like that was another area of the approach yesterday when we were talking to both of them, and we'll just have to see, when free agency starts, what that looks like.
I'm a little reluctant just to dive in thinking that they're going to be uber aggressive in free agency.
Sure.
And I think even yesterday they alluded to that a little bit. They said we got to look at what we've got moving forward. Of course, we've got guys that we want to keep around, like George Pickens and Javonte Williams, possibly Jadeveon Clowney there too. Not that they're going to take up the majority of the salary cap available space whenever they do make the room and they start restructuring a lot of these contracts just to get rid of that $30 million over the cap. I don't know where I expect it to be because we've seen more movement as of late over these last 2 seasons, especially last year, more movement in terms of free agency, but still not an uber aggressive approach when it comes to free agency. Did you get any kind of sense yesterday on how that could affect the way that they draft moving forward, or is that still too early to tell even with these early conversations?
No, I don't think they're going to change their draft process at all. I think it's going to stay exactly the same. Yeah. It's going to be, they're going to build their board, and when they're on the clock at 12 and they're on the clock at 20, if they stay with those picks and don't trade them, they're going to look at it and say, okay, here's our best player available, and if it's a question of do we have a defensive player that we need, or we have a clear need on defense, how similarly graded are these guys, right? Because if you've got an offensive player that is overwhelmingly higher graded over a defensive player, they're more than likely going to take the offensive player. They keep talking about CeeDee Lamb a couple of years ago when they go in planning to take a defensive player. CeeDee Lamb is sitting there and they're going to take him. I have no reason to believe that wouldn't be the case if there was an offensive player on the board that was that big of a discrepancy. Now, if it's a bunch of guys that are close together, I think that's when they look at, okay, who's our highest rated defensive guy, because that's the position that we need.
I will say, in looking at the trends that they've shown over the past few drafts, not to say that they've reached for any positions of need in the first round, but they have definitely swung at positions of need in that first round.
Oh, yeah.
And the BPA mentality really comes into play as soon as the second round, because you've seen them take the Marshawn Nealons or the Donovan Ezrakus when they didn't necessarily need edge rusher in either of those classes with premium picks. So, but you've seen in the first round, Tyler Guyton, he was a need, a massive need. Mozzie Smith, he was a massive need, did not fulfill that need, but he was a massive need at the time. Even Tyler Booker, I wouldn't say he was a massive need last year. That was probably where we probably leaned more into BPA and that mentality. But at the end of the day, he was a day one starter, and they kind of needed that. So I'm curious to see how that does play into the thinking in the first round, especially with that number 12 overall pick. Because with 12, if you're sitting there and let's say there is a CeeDee Lamb type of offensive player, I don't think there is that would be worthy of taking at 12 personally. But
say Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State.
Maybe 20. Like we could probably have that conversation.
I don't know if there's the same level of prospect on the offensive side of the ball that I'm excited about. That's what we talked about on the draft show before we even came out here.
Yeah.
Was there was a lot of defensive players that are probably going to be on the board first and come off the board first, and that doesn't necessarily help the Cowboys.
Well, let me ask you about the one position you do not need necessarily on defense is defensive tackle. So if you're looking at a guy like Peter Woods that somehow slides to 20, which he's starting to get mocked in the late 20s. I'm a big Peter Woods guy. He didn't have a great 2025 season, but like we've mentioned, not a lot of these Clemson guys have. I think you go back to his entire career, you look at the body type, you look at the violence. I'm a Peter Woods guy specifically. Would Peter Woods be a quote-unquote CeeDee Lamb type of pick at 20 if he is sitting there, because you already have so many defensive tackles where you're okay at that position. You have Solomon Thomas back for another year as well. You do not need to address that position at all. But you wonder if maybe BPA comes into the mindset there.
Yeah. So I still think this is going to be a conversation that moves forward. That and the trade scenario of possibly trading one of those two picks. That's going to continue being a conversation when we get to the combine and we start having the interviews and the FaceTime with the front office again, and then again when we get closer to the draft as well. We did get to see the two Senior Bowl teams practice yesterday. The national team went first. The American team went second. I know you guys were really busy in terms of getting all the Stephen and Will McClay articles and stuff out there yesterday. So if you haven't already, check those out. Plus, you can listen to the scouting meeting that you talked about. There's an inside look on Dallas Cowboys social channels and the YouTube page right now if you want to go look at what that meeting looks like, some of the things that they talk about. It was posted this morning, so go check that out as well.
You know who did that?
Who did that?
Scott Purcell.
Scott Purcell, who's standing right behind the
Best
camera
in the
right
business.
there. He's currently flexing, and it's
Just
scary.
ripped his shirt. Yeah,
it's intimidating. He's going to run an Austin Marathon here in a couple months. That's impressive.
Bless
That's
your
awesome.
heart,
It's really
man.
cool stuff. All right, let's talk about some of these prospects. I know a lot of Draft Show fans are looking up and saying, why are we talking about Will McClay and Stephen Jones? It all matters. It all matters. Who are some of the prospects that stood out in the limited time you got to watch yesterday?
Yeah, obviously we were focused on Steven and Will, but the one play, a couple plays that I remember, Derek Moore, the edge rusher from Michigan, just running through people's faces. I mean, when he gets in his stance, it looks like, and ironically enough, this is going to come up in one of our interviews later today, he looks like that picture of Michael Irvin on the Miami sidelines, where it looks like he's going to pounce on you. He's just so violent out of his stance. His get off is incredible, and he goes speed to power super well. He's pushing guys back. And then the other pass rush rep that I saw was from Boston College edge Quintavious Hutchins, where he doesn't even touch the left tackle. He just takes an inside move, jumps back out, and just snaps his ankles in half, gets an easy pressure on the quarterback. Super impressive play there, and excited to really dive into some more practice today. But those were the two reps for me that stood out.
Yeah, I caught a lot of film over the course of the last few hours, and one that continues to pop through is Lee Hunter, defensive tackle out of Texas Tech. Had a lot of really good reps yesterday. Is starting to sneak into some really respected mock drafts in the back end of the first round. And so I wonder if that's another defensive tackle body that we end up having a conversation about on day one. And he's certainly proving that stock here on day one. Colton Hood, up and down. I thought there were some really bright moments, and I thought there were some moments where, he let some guys get through him. Tyron Montgomery, we talked about him yesterday, the Division III receiver out of John Carroll. He had a beat on him on a curl in one-on-ones yesterday where Colton Hood just kind of got lost off of him. That was one, and then Baylor receiver Josh Cameron. I've talked about him on this show a couple of times already. One of the guys I'm most excited to see this week, just because I think he's going to be a long-time pro. He's probably not going to be, a wide receiver 1 or a wide receiver 2 anywhere, but he's got that type of Ryan Flanoy team first, hey, I'm going to be a badass on special teams, and I'm also going to provide something in the receiving game too, to where it can kind of complement whatever a really good pass offense already has. If a team is bringing him in with the expectation of being a 1 or 2 or even a 3 early on, it's probably not realistic, but you need these type of guys on your roster, and those type of guys are worth spending a 4th, 5th round pick on if you have the confidence that they can hit, and I have the confidence in a guy like Josh Cameron to do so.
I think it's interesting, Cameron specifically. He showed up yesterday. He had the white helmet on. So it wasn't the Baylor helmet. It was one of those replacement helmets. I thought, he was a late ad, because a lot of times whenever these guys arrive in Mobile, they get here as quickly as they can. They don't have their equipment with them, and they're just getting on the field. And they've got a couple of Riddell helmets that they'll just throw on as a part of the environment. And he was wearing number 34, and he was playing wide receiver, but he looked like a running back. I mean, he's 6'1", 223 pounds is what they measured him at here. And I looked at it, I was like, who is this running back, number 34? And we didn't have rosters in our hand at that point in practice. And I kept thinking, I was like, man, he's balling. He made a couple of plays in coverage. He was blocking up front. He was kind of used as a gadget guy in a couple of scenarios. And then he made one of the best plays at the end of the practice. They did a competition drill where it was one-on-one. The entire team was up and they were watching, and he made a diving grab in the back right-hand corner of the end zone with a DB on him all the way through. And by that point, I had already figured out it's Josh Cameron. He was a part of the roster from the get-go, wearing number 34, playing wide receiver, but he looks like a running back. And my question to you is, can you use him in multiple ways like that? You can use him as a gadget player across the board.
He started his football career as a running back. He wears 34 because of Bo Jackson.
Okay,
and
so that makes a lot of
he
sense.
He wore 34 at Baylor as well.
Yeah.
And so, I think he's a guy that, he's got kind of this compact build. You can throw him in the backfield. You can throw him in the slot outside. He's very similar to how we talked about Ryan Flanoy when he was coming out of Southeast Missouri State, because Ryan Flanoy has that thick build as well, to where he can power through those arm tackles with his lower half, and it's the perfect comp for me, at least. I think Flanoy has a little bit of an edge on him when it comes to speed,
probably,
but the hands, the IQ, the special teams value, there's a lot of gleaming similarities.
And I could see Cameron having a bit of an edge on Flanoy from a power standpoint, just from like a physicality standpoint, because Flanoy is physical, but Cameron, like we just talked about, he's built like a bowling ball. He's built like a running back, but he's really impressive in day one. I back you up on the Lee Hunter, Texas Tech defensive tackle. I marked it in our Senior Bowl notebook that's online at DallasCowboys.com now too. He demanded double teams by the end of practice because he was too disruptive up front. He was too impressive in the initial. I thought VJ Payne, Kansas State corner, made a couple plays in team drills I thought was really impressive. I wrote that Scooby Williams, the Texas A&M linebacker, was extremely active at the second level. The couple good things from – this is interesting – couple good things from these quarterbacks, and one of the guys that stood out to me in terms of his accuracy,
talk to me,
and his downfield ability,
come on now,
was Diego Pavia
right.
from Vanderbilt. He had a good day, and now he did fumble a snap. He missed a couple of throws, but some of the better throws of the day in both practices came from Diego Pavia. Not for Dallas, not in that conversation, but it's
probably not for
interesting.
anybody, if we're
Maybe
being honest.
Yeah.
I just
5'9".
I want the
That's
bit to continue. I want the bit to continue. I want him to land in like Cleveland and start 3 games and
He's
going to
be one
and make
heck,
a Pro Bowl with 7 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. Like
one heck of a preseason or a UFL scenario.
Yeah.
And hopefully maybe he will find a way. I think he's a gamer, and you showed it a little bit yesterday as well. In the second practice, I thought Kamari Ramsey, who we've talked about a couple times before, the safety out of USC. I thought he struggled a little bit in one-on-ones with tight ends. They put him on some tight ends, some bigger bodies, and he struggled a little bit there, which I've always looked at him as a downhill player, maybe a better coverage safety. I'm really kind of up in the air on Kamari Ramsey as a whole. We're going to talk to him a little bit later today, or try to a little bit later today, maybe get a better idea of what he sees himself as. I thought Keyshawn Elliott, the linebacker from Arizona State, was all over the field in the ground game especially, was reading gaps well, good first step quickness, was playing downhill. And then Aaron Anderson, LSU wide receiver, slot guy. My God, he's got some route runners.
Yeah.
What you said, what?
Ed Nakar, he's from West Bank, New Orleans. He was one of the – when I was scouting in the high school college ranks from the high school college process, Aaron Anderson was one of my favorite players that I evaluated. He's small. He came in at 5'7", 177 pounds earlier this week, but he's a burner. You talk about speed. Him and Barry and Brown, the 2 LSU wide receivers, they're going to bring the speed here this week, and Aaron Anderson for sure shows a lot of that.
I thought you said at the car, which is where the defenders ended up whenever he went one way and and then broke another way, because he was leaving guys in the dust. And I also put Kevin Coleman, the wide receiver from Missouri, also has some jets. Got burner speed. He was 10 yards separated from some of those receivers. From some of those DBs. And
Kevin Coleman's had a fascinating career. I scouted him from the high school to college ranks as well. He started his career at Jackson State. He committed right after Travis Hunter did. It was a similar type of surprise commitment. But when everybody left for Colorado, they left Kevin Coleman behind. And he ended up going to Louisville, shined at Louisville, and then finished up at Missouri and had a great year at Missouri. And, it's certainly a guy that Colorado could have used these last 2 years, but they didn't bring him with them, and he's shined instead.
I'll add this about the Lee Hunter, the defensive tackle from Texas Tech. I think I might be wrong on him, guys.
Yep.
He looked really good yesterday. I was lower on him. I didn't really like what I saw.
You're already backtracking?
I really liked what I saw, some of the clips that I saw yesterday from him. Obviously, we'll see. I want to get a full week in and really see what he does, but he looked really powerful, man. I felt very wrong about him yesterday. Obviously, we'll see how the rest of the week goes. And then a guy that I know you put in your draft notebook as well, or the Senior Bowl practice notebook, Ted Hurst from Georgia State, the wide receiver, 6'3", 207. Plays. My goodness.
He did make some plays.
He was reeling stuff in yesterday. There was some tough catches. That was another one that I forgot to mention earlier, is that I think he had a really good day.
I would also throw in Jennings Dunker because we had a question about, okay, how can he maintain an island as a pass rush guy, and they threw him at tackle, they threw him at guard. He held his own yesterday, and that was an encouraging first day from Jennings Dunker because I think he can really stamp his first round value this week, whatever that looks like for a team picking in the 20s.
And one thing that I didn't put in the practice notebook, but it's in my overall notes, is kind of like what we talked about last week. This front seven is going to be tough to block with the talent that's up front and the offensive line with what they have from a prospect level. I think we saw a little bit of that yesterday. I think the offensive line generally, not Jennings Dunker, and I don't want to throw everybody in the same boat, but I think generally they struggled a little bit to block some of those edge rushers and some of those interior defensive linemen. That's something to keep an eye on as the week goes on, as these guys get a little more continuity, a little bit better as the week goes on, and then you can kind of see what the offensive line really is.
The counter to that, maybe not counter, but the additional part of that is if you see an offensive lineman standing out, I think that tells you a lot about the player too. That's what if you've got a guy that's winning consistently and he's blocking really well, I think that tells you a lot about the kind of player he is, because the defensive front seven, the tackles, the edges, the linebackers, even when they get in some drills and get after the passer, that tells you a lot about how good they are as offensive linemen too, if they're holding up against some of these talented guys.
This offensive line class as a whole, it's early, but I'm just not a big fan of it.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling
it's early. It's January. There's a lot of time. I'll probably have more guys that I approve later on. But I look at the tackles. I think there's some talent there. And at the top of the guards, I just think this class is top-heavy from an offensive line perspective.
I think there's depth, though. I think there's – when you get to round 3, 4, 5, I think there's possible developmental type of players in those mid-rounds. I agree with you. I think there's a gap. There's the high echelon talent, the upper echelon of talent, early first-round type of guys. Then there's a massive gap through like rounds 2 and 3. Then you get to like 4, 5, 6, and I think you're going to find some guys. One of the guys we're actually about to talk to.
I was about to
James
segue
Brockermeyer.
it to you. I was going to segue it to you.
One of the guys we're about to talk to, James Brockermeyer from Miami, is going to join us here on the Draft Show. Plus, we're going to get to learn about some of these other draft prospects as Media Day was today. We're going to have a hodgepodge of interviews coming up later in the show. But when we come back on the Draft Show, James Brockermeyer, Fort Worth, Texas product, joins us right after this.
Life is a workout, and Smoothie King is here to help you power through. Whether you're maxing out overhead presses, pushing through chest flies, or being the hero your golden retriever needs to carry them over that scary bridge, Smoothie King has the fuel to help you go all out. Build muscle and boost your recovery with 45 grams of protein, 0 grams of added sugar, and delicious customizable ingredients in the Gladiator Smoothie. Available in chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla. Only at Smoothie King.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pre-game sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
How about them Cowboys? And how about them Jimmy Dean breakfast bowls? Keep your game day celebrations going with real eggs, potatoes, cheese, and our savory Jimmy Dean sausage. And with 22 grams of protein per serving, you'll have enough energy to power you from early morning to the final whistle. The no-hassle, ready-in-minutes prep makes it easy. Just heat, eat, and cheer on those Cowboys. Get yours today. Jimmy Dean brand is proud to be the official protein of the Dallas Cowboys.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
Welcome back to Radio Row here in Mobile, Alabama. This is the Draft Show presented by Miller Lite. Now joined by James Brockermeyer, offensive lineman from Miami. And James, first off, you're a Texas guy. Fort Worth All Saints High School, grew up, born and raised Were you born in DFW and raised in DFW?
Yes, sir. Yeah, born and raised Fort Worth, Texas.
Okay, so I had to make sure that was born and raised, but you were a Dallas-Fort Worth product. Of course, you bounced around a little bit through your career. Started at Alabama, go to TCU, and you end up in the national runner-up Miami Hurricanes program. Kind of take us through your journey and how you got to this point now in Mobile.
Yeah, it's been a crazy journey. If you told me I was going to get 3 colleges coming out of high school, I'd probably call you crazy. But no, I'm very grateful and just really blessed to have experienced everything the way I got to experience it. You know, had a great experience at Alabama and had a great experience at TCU also. But, you know, I just got a really awesome opportunity and experience at Miami this year that, you know, I wouldn't have traded for the world. And just really special season with a lot of special guys and coaches and staffers. And I obviously wish we could have finished it out the right way at the end, but there was a lot to be proud of this year. And hopefully it can be a big turning point for the program in the future.
It was an unbelievable season across the board for Miami, both on the offensive side and defensive side. And we've broken down a lot of Hurricanes this season on our draft show. Who was the toughest that you had to go up against throughout your time? I know you played every snap at center at Miami and throughout your college career, but who were some of the toughest guys in practice that you had to go up against through that Miami program?
Yeah, that's hard to pick. All those guys up front we had were absolute studs and big problem in practice for us. But, yeah, guys like Moten and Blay and Scott and Blunt and Bain and Mesidor sometimes come inside. I mean, yeah, we had our hands full every day in practice, and those guys got us a lot better, and I think they were a big part of I know they were a big part of our successes here, and they definitely helped us improve up front on the O-line as well.
I want to go back to the start of your college career, those first few years where you were at Alabama. Today's day and age in college football, if it doesn't really go the way in the first couple years, you go to a new school. And I know you did the last 2 years, but for those first few years while you were at Alabama with Coach Saban, what was it that you learned during the course of that time there that helped you develop so that when you got to TCU and then last year when you got to Miami, you were ready to step in and be a starter from day one?
Yeah, I think I learned a lot about myself during my time at Alabama. Obviously, coming out of high school, you're typically one of the most talented guys on the field, if not the most talented guy. But, coming to a program like Alabama, you're probably never going to be the most talented guy in the room. You got to learn how to find your edge in different ways. And I think there were a lot of good veterans in the O-line room that I was able to learn from in my time in Alabama. And I think at the end of the day, I kind of just learned how to handle myself and operate in a professional manner around really good players and coaches. So I think I have a lot of lessons that I learned in that regard that I was able to carry through my time at TCU and Miami, and a big part of why I'm sitting with you guys right now.
And one of your teammates at Alabama, Tyler Booker, drafted by the Cowboys last year. What was your experience with Tyler?
Oh, I love getting the opportunity to be in the same room with Tyler Booker. I got to play with him, a lot. Just in practice at Alabama, and my last spring there, I played with him a lot. So he's a lot of fun to get in with those double teams, and he's an awesome human being. He gets a lot of credit for his success on the field, but I mean, he's a good friend of mine, and I've kept in touch with him since I parted Alabama. But he's a complete stud, and he's got a really bright future ahead of him.
Yeah, and I want to go back even further. You come from a football family, dad, brother, all played. Talk about just kind of the upbringing there and the expectation of like, hey, I know I'm going to be in Mobile one day with the opportunity to go to the NFL.
Yeah, obviously growing up in a football family, you could say. My dad played professionally for 9 years, so it was always what we wanted to do growing up. It was kind of the norm, and I guess you could say expectation growing up that, we were going to play football. And, it was an awesome experience. I'm really blessed to have a guy like that in my corner that not everyone's able to have, and just a guy that's been able to go through all similar experiences that I have and provide some guidance and wisdom has been a huge blessing for me.
Has there been any point specifically where your dad gave you any kind of advice through either your college career or now getting into the draft process where it stuck out to you and it's really helped things click?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things he's always harped on is, you only get one shot at this stuff. So, and there's a lot of stuff you can do the rest of your life. But, right now, let's, go full speed and attack it with everything you got and, see what happens.
That's really cool. James Brockermeyer joining us here on the Draft Show. And it's funny, Nick covered you in high school because he did a lot of high school recruiting. I called some of your games in high school, and you and your brother were fantastic to watch, and it was just so technical. Where do you feel like your game has grown since then, having been at Alabama and now at TCU and then finishing up at Miami like you did? Where do you feel like your game grew the most?
Yeah, obviously getting to college, one of the biggest things that happens, you get developed, physically, and, being in some really good strength programs throughout my college career has helped a lot, put muscle mass on me, and being around awesome O-line coaches as well has helped me understand the game at a higher level. I think I got a lot of good mental understanding of the game with Coach Mirabal this year at Miami, and I got a greater grasp of the whole offense as a whole. So I think that was a really good experience for me. And, at the end of the day, I'm really just a product of all the coaches who have, got their hands on me in college.
And you played over 1,000 snaps this year, but with the run that you guys went on and the amount of games that Miami ended up playing, played over 1,000 snaps, all of them at center. But do you have any sort of versatility, position flex at all whenever it comes to the offensive line?
Yes, sir. Yeah. At the end of the day, I'm willing to do whatever a team wants me to do. I'm a team guy at the end of the day. They want me to play guard, play jumbo tight end or something. I'll jump into it full speed ahead. So, yeah, I've been asked to play center in college, so that's what I'll do. And, they want me to go sling the rock behind center. I'll go try to do that too.
Keep that in mind, coaches.
Did you ever petition that to Coach Cristobal?
No, I did not. I know better than that.
You had Carson Beck back there, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So he mentioned, you guys played a lot of games this year, and you wrapped up fairly recently, and yet still here you are going in front of scouts and trying to help your NFL stock. What are you hoping that NFL teams, coaches, and scouts walk out of here saying about you by the end of the week?
I think scouts and coaches can, see everything on the film that I put out there this year. But I think, just meeting with people and allowing them to get to know me better and see the way I conduct myself in a professional manner will be really good for me. So, they can see everything on film, but, they can't, I've never met with people yet. So I think that's going to be a really, really good experience for me. And obviously playing against really good guys and practice every day and playing in the game on Saturday will be a good experience for me as well. And, kind of put me to the test.
Yeah, Michael Irvin's around your program quite a lot. You have a funny Michael Irvin moment.
Yeah, every day. Pretty much every game he's got the most energy a human being I think I've ever seen in my life. That dude loves Miami more than anyone I think I've ever seen. So having him on the sidelines at all of our games, doing all his antics, and he's got so much juice. It's contagious. So yeah, he's a huge blessing to Miami, and yeah, he's a great guy, and I got to know him a little bit this year. So it was awesome to have him around.
So what would be more intimidating to you? Because there's that picture of him where he's on all fours. He looks like a 3-tech, and he's about to come off the line. If you had to block that, or if you had to block Ruben Bain if he moves inside, what do you think would be more daunting?
Probably Irvin. You just got guys like that. You never know what to expect. Bain's at the end of the day, he's got to do what he's coached to do. So he might have an understanding of what he's gonna do. I think Irvin's a wild card in that regard.
Mike might bite you.
Yeah, maybe so. Well, James, congratulations on all your success. It's always fun watching a Dallas-Fort Worth product have some success and make it to the NFL like you were going to do here in a couple of months. Good luck the rest of the week as well, and continued success moving forward.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. James Brockermeyer, Miami offensive lineman and the pride of All Saints Episcopal High School in Fort Worth, Texas. More to come on the Draft Show right after this.
Cowboys fans, when it comes to navigating the ever-changing world of tax, your business needs a partner it can trust to tackle even your biggest tax challenges. Ryan is the largest firm in the world dedicated exclusively to business taxes. Our team of tax professionals has local expertise in all areas of tax and can help you uncover savings opportunities you didn't know you had. Learn more about how Ryan can improve your overall corporate tax performance by visiting Ryan.com. Ryan, the official tax partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Life is a workout, and Smoothie King is here to help you power through. Whether you're maxing out overhead presses, pushing through chest flies, or being the hero your golden retriever needs to carry them over that scary bridge, Smoothie King has the fuel to help you go all out. Build muscle and boost your recovery with 45 grams of protein, 0 grams of added sugar, and delicious customizable ingredients in the Gladiator Smoothie. Available in chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla. Only at Smoothie King.
How about them Cowboys? And how about them Jimmy Dean breakfast bowls? Keep your game day celebrations going with real eggs, potatoes, cheese, and our savory Jimmy Dean sausage. And with 22 grams of protein per serving, you'll have enough energy to power you from early morning to the final whistle. The no-hassle, ready-in-minutes prep makes it easy. Just heat, eat, and cheer on those Cowboys. Get yours today. Jimmy Dean brand is proud to be the official protein of the Dallas Cowboys.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
Welcome back into Radio Row here at the Panini Senior Bowl alongside Tommy Yarish and Nick Harris. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Glad you're with us. The Draft Show presented by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, so we just heard from James Brockermeyer, had a great conversation with the Miami center. Let's go into our conversations from Media Day. We all three had an opportunity to catch up with some of the names we've already been talking about on the Draft Show. Let's take a look. Back here on the Draft Show from Mobile, Alabama, and the Panini Senior Bowl. Kyle Yeomans back with you with Kamari Ramsey, safety out of USC. And Kamari, it's been fun watching you in practice so far. What are some of the things you've learned here in the early portions of the week of the Senior Bowl?
Yeah, just getting my feet back underneath me. It's been a little while since I played football, so nothing like getting back in football shape. So just getting used to that, and then just getting used to coming out of my breaks and doing things of that nature. So it's good to come out here and compete.
One of the things that is so unique about this event is because you're not the only one trying to get back into football shape. I mean, how much fun is it going to be as the week goes on to see not only your progression and your evolution as a prospect, but the guys around you as well?
Yeah, the competitive level is only going to get higher as people get back feeling in football shape and just get back used to running routes or playing defense or covering somebody or blocking somebody. So, yeah, the level of discipline and competitive level is going to go up. It's exciting to see, and just going to go out there and compete every play.
Now, this is a Cowboys team that is hunting defense, and they need some help in the secondary. What are you going to bring to an NFL team that would entice them to make a pick and to select you on draft weekend?
Yeah, not only a great player, but a great person. Just somebody that's about the team and for the team, put the team before himself. And then on the field, just being a chess piece for the DC, being able to move and play different positions to help the team out. So, yeah, just being a great teammate and bringing a high football IQ to the defense.
You talked about the versatility there a little bit, and you're a hard hitter. You come downhill. You're able to show some physicality. Where did that begin for you? Where did you first kind of see, hey, being a versatile member of a defense is where you fit best?
Yeah, just I think it started with my DC just moving me in different places. Once I understand the scheme and what everybody else is around me is doing, then that's when he's able to put me in different positions. That way I could play fast and not really think so much at different positions. So once I was able to be comfortable with the defense, that's when my DC realized he could play me in different positions to help the team.
Where do you have the most fun playing? In coverage? Is it in run defense? Is it in blitzing? Where hitting? What element of the game are you having the most fun playing?
I think they're all fun, but I mean, there's nothing like a blitz. Like that's like calling a play for somebody on defense. Like when they call you for a blitz, it's like they expecting you to go make a play, cause havoc, create a turnover, do something. So that's probably the best thing right now is a blitz.
Kamari Ramsey, safety from USC, joining us here on the Draft Show. We have a lot of draft nuts that watch our show, a lot of film buffs as well. If you had one opportunity to tell them to watch one game, what would that game of film be for them to break down what you do well on the defense?
One game from any year?
Any year.
I'd probably say LSU, 2024 LSU.
2024 LSU. So now I'm going to go watch the film and get back to it. What stands out about that game?
Just the intensity. It was the first marquee matchup of the year. We played on a Sunday, so in Vegas at the Allegiant. I mean, it was a very emotional game. Went down to the wire, so it brought a lot out of both teams and coaches. So it was just a great game by both teams, and I just think that's an exciting game to watch.
No doubt about it. That was one of my favorite games of the 24 season as well. I think we've already mentioned it on our show once or twice, too. Kamari, thanks so much. Congratulations on all the success up to this point, and good luck this week.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
All right, back here at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, joined now by Texas Tech linebacker Jacob Rodriguez. Jacob, thanks for the time. What a season for the Red Raiders this year, and you were on the heartbeat of that defense. You helped build that program under Coach McGuire. What was it like to finally see all of that hard work and all that preparation pay off with a trip to the college football playoff and a Big 12 championship?
I think it means everything. When you go out, you have a goal at the beginning of the year, and when Coach McGuire got the job, and we wanted to set a culture there. You got to leave the place better than you found it. And so, going and having that goal of a Big 12 championship from, day one 4 years ago, and then to now being, Big 12 champs, it means a lot. And it's something that was important to us. And I'm just glad that, that team, we got so close, but, that team was the team that was able to break through.
You guys had the best defense in the country, and you were such a big part of that there in the middle at linebacker. How did you see everything click this year? And you guys have, obviously, David Bailey on one edge, Romello Height on the other, Lee Hunter in the middle, but you in the middle made that defense go. Why do you think that was?
Yeah, I think, one, just personnel. Like you said, we had so many amazing players. Players play the game, but, we also had a great coach. And we got a new defense coordinator this year in Shill Wood, and, he did an amazing job with, articulating exactly what he wanted and exactly what he want things to look like. And so, we just had to follow his, direction. And, we really trusted in each other and played hard for each other. And, you play good defense like that. When you're all on the same page and you're all making the same communication, good things happen.
For you specifically, the ball production this year, forcing fumbles, getting interceptions was incredible. What did you see when the ball was in the air, or when a receiver or a running back is carrying the ball that allows you to punch it out or pick the pass off?
Yeah, I think, I did it well this year, but I think just as a team collectively, you'll see all around the tape guys going, attacking for the ball and want to take the ball away. And, I think that's something we practice. It's something we talk about all the time. And, translating it from the meeting room or, from just all the time we spend, talking about it, that, when you translate it onto the field, it makes you feel good. It makes you feel like you're doing something right. And so, that constant feedback of, all the hard work and the practice that we do to, it happening in the game, it makes us feel a lot better.
Heading into day 2 of practice today, when this week is up and NFL scouts and coaches have seen you, what do you hope they leave here thinking about you or saying about you and your style of play?
Yeah, I think I want them to say, he's a consistent performer. I think, he doesn't get shaken with nerves or anxiety. He goes out there and he does his job, and, he sets his teammates up for success. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is especially as a Mike. You got to, control a huddle and get guys out and make the right checks and, set the front, and you got to communicate well. And so I think I want them to see that, I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to be the guy who can get it done.
Jacob Rodriguez, linebacker at Texas Tech. Thanks so much for the time.
Appreciate you.
All right, back here on the Draft Show, got Josh Cameron, wide receiver at Baylor. Josh, appreciate you taking the time. First off, man, you came out of Cedar Park High School, one of the best receivers in the state of Texas. Somehow you didn't have a Power 4 offer, and so you went and walked on at Baylor. Talk about your decision to do that instead of go, take a scholarship offer elsewhere at a small school and then earning your way onto the roster, because that's a hard way to do it.
No doubt. So really coming out of high school, I had great statistics, multiple 1,000-yard seasons as my junior and senior season. But, COVID kind of happened during my senior season, so I feel like that played a little bit of a role into the under-recruitment. But it's all part of the journey at the end of the day. But kind of with coaches not being able to see me kind of in the spring, come down, kind of see my size, how I move, I feel like that played a part. But whenever it came time to make a decision of where I'm going to go, Baylor was really the best opportunity for me. It was really just such a God thing, because as I was praying, I was only hearing Baylor from the Lord. And so I was telling that to my parents. I was like, look, Baylor's a private university. I really want to do this. This is all I'm hearing. And they're like, we're going to support you through and through. And so once I really got to Baylor, just really wanted to take that financial burden off of them, knowing I can play at the next level, knowing that this is my dream to play at the next level.
How long did it take you to go from, hey, this is our walk-on, to, hey, this guy, we need to play him? How long do you think that process took, and why do you think you earned that trust?
So really kind of the middle of freshman year in college, I really kind of transitioned more kind of special teams focused, trying to get on all units just so I could be seen, just so I could be have a chance to show who I am a little bit. So making an impact there. We had a deep receiver room, guys like Tyquan, RJ, Josh Fleeks, just to name a few. And then after they left, that following spring, the receiver room was pretty much open. So now I was like, okay, let me start making an impact more on receiver, honing my skills even more. Had a great spring, and then after that I got put on scholarship. And so going into the next season, I really thought I was going to kind of start. Had a great spring, had a great summer, great fall camp, but it just didn't happen. Really just kind of after that process, it was just kind of back to the walk-on mindset I always keep. Let me just put my head down and work. And so kind of halfway through the season, that's when I kind of made my start. I believe against Oklahoma. Had a great game, almost like 100 yards. And so, yeah, I feel like that moment, that Oklahoma moment and on, that's kind of when it kind of kind of started clicking for me.
And you're going to have to earn your way onto the roster. It's the same way in the NFL. Yeah. How do you think having this process already in your back pocket will be able to help you, with playing all special teams, with making a roster, making a 53 at the end of the day?
Yeah, I think it helps a lot. I think some guys don't go, or this is their first time kind of going through that process. And so me kind of already experiencing that, knowing how to internalize why am I not in this position, really just being taught patience through the process. I feel like that's the biggest lesson I've kind of learned, something I'm able to transition to the NFL. Like you said, as I fight for the 53-man roster, just remembering the journey at the end of the day and just being uniquely me.
What would it mean to be a draft pick?
Sure, it would mean everything. That's the dream. That's the goal at the end of the day. That's why I'm here, competing against the best of the best. It's such a great opportunity, but yeah, it would definitely be a blessing and a dream come true.
Last one I got, you grew up in Texas. Did you grow up a Cowboys fan? Did you watch Cowboys? What would it mean to be selected by the Cowboys specifically?
It would mean everything. I was a Cowboys fan growing up, just watching guys like Tony Romo, Des Bryant throw the X, and so being able to put on that uniform would definitely be surreal.
Josh Cameron started his career as a walk-on at Baylor and is now one of the top receiver prospects here in this draft class. Appreciate your time, Josh. Thank you.
Thank you. Here from Senior Day, Media Day, Kyle Yeomans back for the draft show presented by Miller Lite. We're here with Gennings Dunker, one of the standout offensive tackles in this Senior Bowl class from Iowa. And you played all 5 seasons with the Iowa Hawkeyes. What type of pride does that give you to be able to play for one program in this day and age of the transfer portal and show out the way that you did?
I love playing for Iowa. If I had another year of eligibility, I probably would have went back there for my 6th year just to be around the guys and play for Coach Barnett and Coach Ferentz. And, yeah, it's awesome.
And you guys have had a lot of success in terms of pumping out NFL-ready offensive linemen. What's it mean to you now to be a part of that tradition and try and carry that on to the next level?
It's just, following the standard that they set for me, doing what Coach Barnett taught me to do and what Coach Ferentz taught me to do, and, just trying to be an Iowa offensive lineman.
What's one of your goals this week playing against the talent level and the other NFL draft prospects that you get to go up against?
Yeah, just to run and hit and play physical.
Where do you feel like the biggest strength is in your game?
I'd say probably running and hitting, fitting backside hand and hitting aiming points and stuff. So, it's not rocket science, but, it's just like doing the same thing every time.
One thing that I've just in the couple moments of getting to talk to you a little bit here is love your personality. You got a great personality. Is that something that you've really grown up with and found along the way, or you like to play in a certain play style, and how different is that play style than your personality?
I don't know. I think I've kind of always been this way. I think it'd be I don't know if I could change it, so hopefully, it's not too bad. But, yeah, I don't know. This is how I've always been. Yeah.
I like it. The final question I've got for you is if there's anybody NFL-wise that you've modeled your game after or watched in the past, is there one that stands out to you?
Yeah, I spent the summer watching, Sheriff and Robert Gowery, and, obviously doesn't play my position, but Laporta too. He was, a huge team leader when I was at Iowa, like my 2nd year. So, yeah, there's a ton of good guys that come from Iowa and guys you can watch, and it's awesome.
What are some of the things you picked up from their games?
Just how physical and dominant they would play, especially like in college and whatnot, and just how they would run off the ball. It's awesome to see.
And it's really been fun to watch you play here on the early practices and then moving into the Senior Bowl coming up on Saturday. Good luck this week. Thanks for taking some time.
Thank you. Yeah.
Gennings Dunker from Iowa, everybody. Media Day there from the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. Back with Tommy Yarich, Nick Harris. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Great job on your interviews, gentlemen.
Thanks
for
man.
your time.
You too.
Good stuff. And now, here's the thing. Today is a big day for the practice because, one, it's not day one anymore. These guys know each other a little bit. They've had another day of meetings, another day of playbook, digestion. Now you get to really see what's happening. I always love Wednesday and Thursday the most in terms of these practice days because this is where it really ramps up a little bit. What are you looking forward to the most this afternoon?
I think physicality. I think, yesterday you saw some of it, especially in that first practice, but now it's guys are comfortable, like you mentioned. They know where they're supposed to be more so than they did in the first day of practice. I want to see these guys really get after each other more and hard hitting, continue to keep competitiveness at a high level. I think the offensive, defensive line battles are going to be fun. Receiver, corner, one-on-ones are going to be fun. Just want to see more intensity today.
I'm going to be locked in during the national team practice on Colton Hood. I want to see consistency, and there's not many first-round guys here. You could probably only point to about 2, 3, maybe 4. Colton Hood's one of those guys, so he needs to be one of the best players out here by far. And Daniel Jeremiah mocked him to the Cowboys at number 12, which, we talked about yesterday. I thought we all think is a little rich.
Yeah.
Show me why it's not. And I didn't necessarily see that on day one from Colton Hood.
Speaking to what Tommy talked about in the first segment of the show, Lee Hunter, the Texas Tech interior defensive lineman, Tommy was a little skeptical on it. He looked like a first-round pick, looked like a first top 20 type of player against this competition level here at the Senior Bowl, which is impressive. So you turn around in Colton Hood. I didn't necessarily see that yesterday. I'm with you. I want to see more of it. I want to see what these safeties do from a physicality standpoint. They can't hit entirely, but I want to see the ability and the trigger to be able to come downhill, play downhill, and be willing to hit in certain situations. I want to see it, especially from a guy like Kamari Ramsey, the USC safety. I want to see something from him in that regard today.
One more quick add with Lee Hunter. I want to see how he handles having offensive linemen that have a plan against him today, because now they've gotten to go back, watch film on him. They know what they're getting. They know what he can do. How does he handle a plan against him versus yesterday where maybe there wasn't as much of one?
Yeah, keep up to date. Everything on DallasCowboys.com from Tommy, from Fort Worth Star-Telegram there from Nick Harris, and then, of course, we'll have some wrap-ups on the Dallas Cowboys TV side of things as the day comes to a close. It's day 2 of the Panini Senior Bowl here in Mobile, Alabama. Hope you enjoyed the draft show presented by Miller Lite. We'll be back tomorrow going into day 3 as our week continues here from the Senior Bowl. For Tommy Yarish, Nick Harris, Scott Purcell behind the camera, I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long. We'll see you tomorrow with more of the draft show.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!